So if you would, just bow your heads for probably about 10 seconds of prayer, silent prayer. Amen, amen, amen. Again, welcome to another exciting episode of Straight Talk with Roger Hunt Unscripted. I am your host, Roger Hunt. And today we're doing something a little bit different than we normally would do. We have a studio audience, and you all are the first to experience the audience taping of Straight Talk with Roger Hunt. So I'm excited for you all being here. This is history in the making, so give yourselves another round of applause. And we're going to start off with our very first guest today. I'm going to let you all know before I get to that guest, but more than 30,000 Americans are killed by guns every year, and twice the number are injured, according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. About 13,000 are murdered, the rest take their own lives, and others are victims of shooting accidents. Almost half of children are young adults. Last year, St. Louis, unfortunately, has cracked its 25-year murder record. Per capita, the city ranks third for homicides in the United States and first for non-fatal shootings, according to data from the FBI and major city chiefs associations. For each and every one of our panel guests, my sincere heartfelt condolences in the death of your loved ones. In addition, our metropolitan region continues to be plagued with yet more homicides. Our heartfelt condolences and prayers to those families and their loss as well. So let's get right to it. We have 4 special guests today. Our first guest will be Keone Coons. She likes to go by the name of Kay. She will be representing her cousin, Carmen Weber, who resides in the state of Texas. Ms. Weber, she lost her 23-year-old son, Antonio Duff, on April 9th, 2012. The day after Easter, he was shot in broad daylight. And unfortunately, even with all the witnesses, no one came forward. It's been 6 years and 4 months, and still no justice. The next, we will have Renee Whitfield. She is the mother of the late 23-year-old Rashad Lamar Farmer, who was murdered on July 13, 2015. Her son lost his life in a broad daylight shooting as well at his girlfriend's mother's house. Several adults and kids were outside during this time with other persons being shot. Her first cousin was one of those people. He had just left the home. Almost 30 minutes later, she received a call that he had been shot. His girlfriend was 5.5 months pregnant. Her son left behind 2 boys that never got a chance to meet their father, Rashad Jr. and Carter. Renee has a younger son, Truly, who was 3 at the time and witnessed everything that his mother did. The call going to the crime scene and all of the second-minute injuries. Every hour, every day that goes by, she doesn't miss her son. Like most of us, we all wish we could turn back the hands of time. Rashad will always be forever missed in her heart. Then we have Stephen Hunt Jr., 30 years old, is with us due to the loss of his father. A native of St. Louis, Stephen is. He is happily married and the father of 2 boys. His dad, Stephen Hunt Sr., who was also my brother, was a hardworking man of integrity, as well as a God-free man who strived to make a difference in the lives of those who came in contact with. Steve Sr. also has a daughter by the name of Afara Grady, who is the mother of 3 daughters. Steve Sr., on the evening of November 16, 2010, during an attempted robbery, was gunned down near his home. His murder is also still unsolved. Next, we have Marnice Baker. She is the mother of Jerome Baker, 27, who disappeared and was a father, husband, big brother, and a wonderful son. He was the oldest of 14 brothers and sisters, as well as he had 12 step-siblings. He was the co-founder of High Life New with his best friend, Corey Lamar. Jerome was very active in his kid's life. He was a man who just wanted to take care of his family and to live the best life that he could. And that's what a lot of us try to do, to live the best that we could. People he met had nothing to say but good things to say about him. He was the epitome of love. And finally, I will be representing myself in the loss of my own son, Darius Jamar Hunt. Darius, as many of you know, was shot and gunned down on May 2nd of this year. Going back to his mother's house, grandmother's house, I should say, we lost Darius that evening. And it's hard, but we still press forward, we still move on. And just like the other panel guests that we have on here, we're still striving to move forward, to move ahead, but at the same time, we know God is able and God will bring us through. When we come back, we will begin our panel discussion here on Straight Talk with Roger Hunt.
Join us here on Preach the Word Network on Fridays at 2 p.m. for Straight Talk with Roger Hunt Unscripted. Host Roger Hunt will explore the lives of others in many arenas of our society with discussions that will inform, inspire, encourage, and enlighten those who we interact with in our daily lives, featuring topics from the news, experts in their field, and great entertainment. Join us for Straight Talk with Roger Hunt Unscripted, Fridays at 2 p.m. on Preach the Word Network.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back to Straight Talk with Roger Hunt Unscripted. I am your host, Roger Hunt, and we have our panel discussion. To my right is Marnice Baker, Stephen Hunt Jr., myself, Roger Hunt, yours truly. We have the lovely Miss Renee and Miss Kay. Renee and Miss Kay right there. All right. We're going to come back and start with you, Renee, and the death of your son. Tell us a little bit about your struggles that you've encountered since the death and the loss.
It's just been a uphill battle since the loss. I mean, I feel like when my son left, a part of me left. Every day is really hard because I have to look at his children that he never got a chance to meet, as well as I have to deal with my younger son, who is now 6, that doesn't have a big brother to really look up to. He has other siblings, but him and his brother Rashad were really close. And some days are better than others, I mean, I can find myself able to push through, and other days I just don't want to, but I know I have to, because who can tell my son's story but me?
Yeah, the other part of that, she mentioned the siblings. Even with my son Darius, you still have to keep in mind, not only does the parents grieve and mourn and go through, now you have to be concerned about the siblings as well. Psychologically, you go, for me anyway, you go into this state of sometimes you're up and you're down, and some days you have all the energy in the world, and other days you just don't feel like doing anything. And you're in a lost state of, I'll say, depression. It really hits you. And then when you have the siblings, I constantly find myself checking on my 2 boys because, one is out serving in our military and no family around him besides his military family. And you wonder, what is he going, as a parent, now what is he dealing with? What is she dealing with? And then for my other son, you have to wonder, they say they're okay, but are they really okay?
That's right. That's right.
So is that something you experience even with?
Truly, yes. Truly is 6, but Truly really is maybe 16 in real life. I mean, he really understands the concept. Like, he understands that his brother is up to God.
Mm-hmm.
He understands that when he sees me look a certain way, he knows, like, oh, Mommy, you missed my brother. And with being so young, the unfortunate thing is that he experienced trauma right along with me. I mean, he was at the scene, he heard the screams, he heard the phone call, he didn't understand what was going on. He's like, Mommy, what's wrong? And I'm just screaming and driving, like my flashes are on, I'm trying to get to my son as soon as I possibly can. So with that being said, he's experienced everything that I've gone through.
Wow. Marnice, tell us a little bit more your thoughts as far as, the gut-wrenching, I call it gut-wrenching feeling that you get, and especially as mothers, you know, you carried a child for 9 months and then all of a sudden to have that taken away from you.
That's called the umbilical pain, because I get the pains in my stomach.
Wow.
And I was told it's the umbilical pain. My situation is a little different because my son went missing at 9:58 on a Sunday. Everybody getting up for church. He's on the front porch of a young lady's house, and he went missing within 11 minutes. We narrowed it down from 11 minutes from the time his best friend talked to him to the time he got over to the house to pick him up. He was gone. So I have dates in my head that triggers certain things off because he went missing May 15, 2016. A skull was found October 27, 2016. Then June 2017, they told me all the skull was your son's. So I have all these dates, but did not get confirmation for 15 months. So I'm still at whereas a lot of parents have that visual of seeing their child lay in a coffin, I don't have that visual. So my mind plays tricks on me some days, like he's gonna walk through my door, or that's not my baby, that's over there in ashes. Because I never got to see that. They didn't give me any artifacts, anything he was wearing, nothing. I received nothing of his. His kids have PTSD. His daughter was really close to her dad, so, you know, she could still call. It's really hard to work with kids every day, get up and put on a smile to go into the schools, but it helps me because all my babies at the school, I have to do it for them too, to make sure that they don't go through it. It allows me to know when you say, oh, your kids are bad, or your kids are acting out, a lot of our kids are dealing with trauma. And we don't know that they're dealing with trauma in the schools because we don't know what their home life is. We don't know that they've seen little Pookie outside get shot 12 times by their bedroom door. We don't know. So until we start taking the time out to find out what's going on in their life, then we can start teaching them and getting them on the right track. It's hard. Like I said, I have real bad days. I hear my son's voice. I feel his presence, but I haven't been hit yet like most people because I'm still in the state of denial. And I know that because some days I think they wanted to shut me up because I was that one, when there was someone went missing, I got up out my bed and I went to look for them. You know, I end up meeting other women. Monica Sykes, I worked with her mom, Regina Sykes. My co-worker was Thea Wilson, whose son was Christian Ferguson. We got up, we get together, we go look for these kids, and there's so many kids missing, and so many young girls missing. But as society, they give national news to the women. So my fight has been for the men because men don't get that attention. So this voice, this loud voice I got, I had to go out here and fight for the men. And it's like, how do we expect our men to be able to stand up and lead our households when they can't get no help? Here, I know they can't get no help because I couldn't get no help trying to locate my son. You know, they felt like he was a man. Men shouldn't go missing. They don't go missing. They can handle themselves, nothing happens to him. So St. Louis City dropped the ball on my case. They didn't work my son's case for 5 months. They didn't ping his phone like they did for all the women. They did not pull his phone records. So I've just been in a trauma situation myself, and I'm getting emotional now, and I'm sorry, but to know that they did not work his case or did not even look for my baby, and then my baby just laid over in the field right next to school buses. They got up every day and started every day to drive kids away, and my baby laid over there like trash, and no one felt like he was worthy of looking for. It bothers me.
And that's something that we see all across the country, and it's not just here. There was a case in Colorado where, and even here in St. Louis, and when you hear of the major case squad is brought out to look for and spend so much time in searching for a victim, or, you know, at that time there's still just a missing person. But what you're saying, 5 months had went by before you heard anything, really. But at the same time, in some cases, and again, I'm going to say this, depending on race and gender, sometimes you may get the special attention, and sometimes we just have to wait. And that's unfortunate, and it's not fair. And again, we have to put more pressure on our local legislators to do something. And it is not, and it includes the Board of Aldermen or your ward people or councilmen and women to get out there and get involved in what's going on in our communities. Because a lot of times our politicians are just as silent until something happens to someone they love. And I'm not saying all of them, but sometimes that seems to be the case, is silence with our political leaders. I mean, and not to say that they don't have other important issues, but life is a very important issue, and no one deserves to have their life snatched away from them, regardless of what the situation may be. You mentioned something about, you know, is your son going to come home? You know, I sit in my car, I don't know how many days. I will sit and I'll actually wait for Darius to come around that corner, or I'll drive down the street and I'll see a young man and I say, oh, that's Darius. But deep down in my heart, I know that's not my son. But I'm looking for him because I'm familiar with some of the routes that he had taken in going to work and coming, or if I drive down, I'll just name the street Natural Bridge, because for some reason this kid, he just loved to take the metro. So I'll go down Natural Bridge and I'm looking for him. I still do this. In my mind, psychologically, it's hard. You know, because I miss my son, you know. We were connected. A lot of what you see up here is part of Darius, you know, so, but the emotional side of me for my son is real, because that was my baby. You know, and you never get old. Even fathers, you know, when we lose, sometimes people say, well, you were the dad, you're not the mother, you weren't the mother. Well, us men, we hurt too for the loss of our loved ones, because if you have that connection, you talk about the family coming up in the neighborhoods. See, and I remember that coming up, where we prayed as a family, you know, where we had family dinners and conversations and discussions with our kids. The other thing, you know, and I told someone this earlier, you know, unfortunately, but even with African American men, you know, we have to teach our sons different than some of the Caucasian men. I had to tell my boys, if the police stop you, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. Unfortunately, we shouldn't have to do that in a society where we're supposed to be free people according to our Constitution. But yet we find ourselves having to do that to our black men. And it's not right. Steve, you had a comment?
Yeah, so it'll go back to you saying, so being a black man and having two black boys. And we live in a biracial community, but my kids have a lot of Caucasian friends. And they love Nerf guns, but as a father, it hurts to say, you can't be outside playing with Nerf guns because you could get shot. Like, telling my 6-year-old that pisses me off, but, you know, that's the world we live in. You gotta teach your kids you can't do what white people do. You can't express yourself like white people do, because they waiting for you to snap. They waiting for you to act out of character just so they like, look at him, this is how they were raised. So no matter how well you raise your kids, how many devotionals and prayers we have, how well they treat others, they already have that stigma against them that, oh, he come from a broken home, or his dad probably sell drugs. The neighborhood I live in, I have a nice house, but how do they afford to live here? I heard it before. I done walked up to shake my neighbor's hand, and it was not extended to me. You know, so it's daily, and that was in front of my kids. The old me probably would have acted out, but I just like, have a blessed day. Like, we live right here if you need anything from us.
With that, Steve, and I know your sister's not here, you two, I know you were very close to your father, my brother, and just so you know, the last time that I saw my brother was on a Saturday before he was killed. I was actually, matter of fact, Darius and I were together. It's ironically, I'm talking about Darius and then Steve at the same time, senior, that Steve was in a church service. And I said, Steve, you want to go to the football? Darius had a football game that Saturday. And I said, you want to go to the football game? He said, no, I'm going to stay here, look, big bro, and I'm going to enjoy this church service. He worked down at one of the local public schools, and they had a Saturday church service there in the gymnasium. So he said, I'm going to be all right. I said, okay, go have fun with Darius. But your sister, I mean, he also said, this is what your father said. Because at that time, in 2010, I was starting the modeling and acting. And he said, you're going to make it big one day. I said, okay, yeah, I'm not worried about that. I said, how's the family? Going to talk about you all and stuff. That was the last time I spoke to my brother, your father, on that Saturday before he was killed on a Tuesday, if I recall, on the 16th. And sometimes as a mother, father, brother, you wonder, if I was there, what would it have been like? Did you all have that thought? Anyone? If I was there.
So how it played out with my dad, on that Tuesday I had just got a job, a new job. Told him about it when he dropped my sister off. He dropped her and my niece off. And I was like, I'll catch up with you later. I'm gonna go to sleep. I got work overnight tonight. So my intention was when I got up to give him a call. And we both probably hung out, had a drink or whatever, just, talked about it. But I was like, I gotta go to sleep. If he would have stayed a little bit longer just to converse with me about the job, sometimes maybe it would have prolonged. Maybe it wouldn't have happened. Maybe they would have got discouraged. Maybe that 5 or 10 minutes talking to me would have been 5 or 10 minutes where his life would have been spurred. So it's stuff like that to where, what could I have done? I don't beat myself up with it because, you just learn to live with it. So yeah, it's not a day go by where, what if I just would have talked to him a little bit longer?
How's your sister?
She handled a lot different than me. She was a daddy's girl. So she really taken the rough, where I felt like I had to be stronger than her, well, strong for her rather, sorry. So when she broke down, I had to be there for her, so I couldn't break down. With my grandmother, I felt like I had to hold it in to be strong for them. So she take it a lot harder to where, I just tell her he wouldn't want you to grieve like this. He would want you to be joyous and, be a reflection to your kids like he was. So, yeah, she take it real rough and,
Okay.
It's a hard burden to carry.
Wow. We're going to go and take a break. When we come back, we're going to continue our panel discussion, and then we're going to wrap it up. You're watching Straight Talk with Roger Hunt Unscripted. I am your host.
Join us here on Preach the Word Network on Fridays at 2 p.m. for Straight Talk with Roger Hunt Unscripted. Host Roger Hunt will explore the lives of others in many arenas of our society with discussions that will inform, inspire, encourage, and enlighten those who we interact with in our daily lives. Featuring topics from the news, experts in their field, and great entertainment. Join us for Straight Talk with Roger Hunt Unscripted, Fridays at 2 p.m. on Preach the Word Network.
How many believers we got in the house? Let's get some noise, make some noise. We got to give praise to the front of the way you got. You a believer. This is your season. It's your turn to fly. It's your turn to fly. Are you a believer? This is your season. It's your turn to fly. It's your turn to fly. Under the wings of a guardian angel, singing true for the sky, no matter how long it takes you. Our souls on cruise control tonight. Yeah. Guess we gon' touch the stars tonight. Yeah. We gon' pass the moon, 'cause love is gonna take us. We're invincible, nobody is gonna break us. We gon' pass the moon, 'cause love is gonna take us. We're invincible. Are you a believer? This is your season. It's your time to fly. It's your time to fly. Are you a believer? This is your season. It's your time to fly. It's your time to fly. I got a future from Jesus. You know my God is a keeper. Time to go cast out my demons. Thank God for saving the heathen. Living my life to my zenith. Knowing I'm never no genius. Step out of what they believe in. No meaning of early achievement. 99 is not enough. Man, I need 100 plus. Mustard seed of faith. Just to go and get me through the rough. When I'm down on my luck. When I'm down on my luck. I need God to pick me up. What? This is your season. My grandma would always teach me from Ephesians that there's a time for everything. This is your season. We're investing in your spirit. We're all meant to be here for a reason. You a believer. This is your season. It's your time to fly. It's your time to fly. Before anything comes into existence, it starts with a belief, conception, thought. You're grounded in whatever you have confidence in. And you step out. Step out. You a believer. This is your season. It's your time to fly. It's your time to fly. Are you a believer? This is your season. It's your time to fly. It's your time to